when I can bond with the members of the community, get to know them and connect them with new people who have a question, and I know this person has an answer, or I give them consistent updates, they get to know my face, my voice, they get to know me. And it's much easier for your community to build a relationship with a person than a brand or a bunch of employees or team members. You know, people in Elite have built this relationship with me.
On previous episodes of this show, we've discussed lots of new ideas for how marketing and sales teams can create more human, more personal, and more authentic connections with potential buyers as a way of generating new business. But another important idea in today's digital world is how we connect our customers, our prospects, and our broader audience together to share their collective knowledge, to ask their tough questions, and to ultimately create a self-sustaining community that helps everyone involved be more successful, including your own business. Welcome to Creating Connections, the show that explores the human element in an increasingly digital business world. I'm your host, Tyler Lessard, and today we're speaking with Stephanie Baiocchi, Director of Audience Engagement and Community at Impact, a leading inbound and digital marketing agency based in Hartford, Connecticut, who's built an online community of more than 5,000 members who are actively engaged in discussing today's world of marketing and sales. And thanks to the thoughtful and very genuine approach that Stephanie brings to managing that community, each and every member knows her as an honest, trustworthy, and passionate leader who can help them solve real problems. And that type of connection goes a long way to helping Impact continuously grow both their online community and their top-of-line revenue.
I'm Stephanie Baiocchi. I'm the Director of Community and Events at Impact. And Impact is a digital sales and marketing company. And there I run our community. And our community is everything from our online community, which actually exists on Facebook, to our advocate community, which is a specific platform that we have, the people who are engaging with our content, and then the people who come to our live in-person event. So I'm all of that. And it's been an interesting journey, but something that's always been a part of my life, and I even have this at the beginning of a slide in a presentation I do, is talking to people.
Right.
I just love talking to people. And I naturally, when I was hired for this job, the CEO of our company was like, all right, you know everyone. Can you just come work for us? But you don't have to know everyone to be successful in the community. And I'm lucky that I'm in this role because I love it. But there's so many things that you can do to make a successful online community, customer community, one that has prospects in it, any of those. And I have spent the last 18 months growing our community from about 1,200 people when I officially joined the company to just over 5,300 right now.
It's amazing. So you've got an active community of more than 5,000 individuals, which is, I think, amazing for any company out there, big or small. And I just wanted to get a bit of your perspective on when you think about the world of communities. You know, you talked a bit about how it's not just a online thing. It's bigger than that. How do you philosophically approach the idea of community building and community management within a business like Impact?
Yeah, I think for community, especially from a business perspective, if you can bring people together around something where they can share ideas, they can get value out of it, and you can make it so valuable that you as a brand could potentially step out and your community would still thrive, that's when you've really become successful and you've created something amazing. And it doesn't mean that your brand shouldn't be part of it. It should be that added bonus, that icing on the cake. But if you create a community that can stand alone, you're really successful.
So what are the core tenets of a strong community? There's obviously things like sharing of ideas and knowledge, as well as the opportunity to network and connect. But how do you think about those kind of core pillars of why people join a community? And when you're thinking about building out a community program to better connect with your audiences, what should you be thinking about offering to that community, or at least making sure you're facilitating?
Yeah, I think you really have to look to your community to tell you that. So it depends on your goal, it depends on what your community is like. For us, a big deal for our community is getting feedback on the things they're doing. We have a lot of people who are marketers of one at their company, and they don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of or say, hey, can you look at this landing page? What do you think of this video? So giving them that opportunity. And then you have to let your community inform the rest of what you're doing and be flexible. We didn't start out with a place for people to post job openings, but we found that that was something that people continued to post, and so we made it a formal part of our community. If you have a job post, you go here and you post it. It's really like asking your community what they need and making those the pillars of your community is really important. And I would say just having guidelines and rules and making sure that your community is respectful and privacy is respected, those have to be part of it, regardless.
Yeah. So you guys, a big part of your community is the online presence as a way for people to be connecting. Can you tell us a little bit about Impact Elite and the online presence? Was there a reason you selected, Facebook as an example, as a home for the group? And again, how do you think through the role of that digital part of the community before we talk about, the real live action in real life community building?
Yeah, it's interesting. I love this question because I didn't start Impact Elite. I didn't work at Impact when the community began. I was part of the community actually, and I was in it on Facebook. But I have talked to people and asked these questions internally, of course. And Facebook has a great community platform. It's gotten a lot better in the past few years actually, and it's free, which is great. Sure, there are some concerns. Not everyone loves being on Facebook. Not everyone trusts Facebook with their data privacy or wants to have business conversations there. But for our community, we found that it worked and it thrived, and we decided to keep it there. And I've spoken with other community platforms trying to make sure that we're doing the best for our community. But we're at about a 63% engagement rate right now on average, which out of 5,300 people is pretty high. Like I'm shooting for over 50, so I'm pretty happy with 63%.
Yeah.
And that's a testament truly to the members of our community. We ask good questions of people before we let them in. It's not an open community. You have to apply, in a sense, you could say, to be in the community, and then we read those answers and we let people in, and we hold people to a high standard. And so that all went into knowing what our community is going to look like before we actually developed it. Even before I started there, Impact knew our community has to be impacty. It has to feel like every other interaction with our brand, which is authentic and respectful and has all of these things that now our online community has.
Yeah. Now, when you think about your role as the manager and moderator, if you will, of this community, how do you approach that? And for other people thinking about launching their own community programs, what do you consider your role to be? How do you engage the community? What tools do you use? And how do you measure your own success beyond just number of community members and things like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. With community management, there's a lot to do, but it's not very complicated, but you have to have someone who's gonna own it.
Yeah.
You can't delegate it to a team and say, all right, everyone's gonna help and we're gonna do this together. It doesn't work, and it will fail. It will fall through the cracks, it will fail.
Yeah.
You have to have someone who's gonna own it. That's not to say that you can't have multiple people in your community helping community members from your organization or outside of, even really happy customers. And that's what I was first. And but you do need that one person to own it. And then from an ownership perspective of managing this community, when I can bond with the members of the community, get to know them and connect them with new people who have a question, and I know this person has an answer, or I give them consistent updates, they get to know my face, my voice, they get to know me. And it's much easier for your community to build a relationship with a person than a brand or a bunch of employees or team members. People in Elite have built this relationship with me.
Right.
And I love that. And that is part of how I determine success. And my CEO and I, Bob, we discussed this when I started my job, is people need to love me and they need to love Impact.
Yeah.
And they're one and the same, really. And so if someone comes up to me, we're at Inbound right now. Someone comes up to me at Inbound and says, hey, I saw your update last week. Your closet collapsed. Did you fix your closet?
Right.
And I'm like, yes, I did. That's success to me because they're paying attention. They're engaged. They feel like they know me. And they do know me because I'm the same me there that I am anywhere else.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's, we forget too often about this idea of the personal connection and having that personal presence within our content, within our digital channels, and then within our community. Yeah. But it can make such a difference.
It can, and I think without it, you're never gonna have trust. And if you don't have trust, you're not gonna have people being authentic in your community. They're not gonna be willing to be vulnerable and ask questions that they might feel like are stupid. Yeah. We want people to come to this community with whatever question they have and feel that they can trust us with that question.
Right. Yeah. Now let me ask you, the biggest issue or challenge that I hear from people trying to build online and in-person communities is engagement. So I think a lot of people out there have started communities, whether it be in Slack or Facebook, or forget about the technology, doesn't matter. Where they end up getting people into the community and they ask their first question, maybe they answer something, but 2 months later it's radio silence. What has your secret been, or do you have things that you've done that you would bestow upon others as ways to keep people engaged, to keep the community thriving, and to not just make it something that holds people attention, but actually, again, continuously delivers value?
Yeah, definitely. Maintaining that long-term engagement it's definitely challenging, but it's not insurmountable. And for us, we built really great relationships first. We didn't say, well, we don't really know what's going on with the people we work with, so let's just make a community and ask them. We said, we know that Francis and Andrea and Stephanie have questions. Let's bring them together and get them helping each other. And so if you can build those relationships first, those people become the people you reach out to, and you can very candidly say, hey, this community's new. We've got some people who aren't as familiar with us as you are. It would really mean a lot to us and the community as a whole if you could go in and be the first to answer a question and be the first to share something and ask for some feedback. And really just say, that would help us out a lot, and I think that would make everyone else more comfortable. And they'll do it. And anytime that I feel the groups may be dipping, you can pull someone in and say, you told me that story the other day. Why don't you go post that in Impact Elite and see what the community has to say about it? So that definitely gets things started. Then once you get your community rolling, you get some people in there. Traditions are a big part of that engagement. Having those rituals, those things like Motivation Monday or whatever you have. I want to make landing page, there's no alliteration. Website Wednesday, there we go. We're going to have Website Wednesday. But you create those traditions, people know that's something they can look forward to, that's something they can come back to. And you might have to play around with it a little, find the ones that work for you. We know Motivation Monday doesn't fly in our group because they're like, I don't want motivation, I want tactics. Tactic Tuesday is much more important. But that definitely keeps the engagement going on a consistent basis.
Now, how do you communicate with the community? I know there's things that you can do on an ad hoc basis within the community network, but I know you also send out updates and recaps and things like that. Can you talk about that, of how you keep yourself present within the community? Well,
so when people join the community, there's a welcome message, and this is good. We're in Facebook, but it's good for any community. Have a welcome message, a little overview of some roles, and a video. And I introduce myself with a video. People get to know me, my face, my voice right off the bat. And then they can sign up for community updates. And regardless of what technology you're using, notifications can either be overwhelming or missed entirely, one of the two. Facebook's somehow both. I get 100 notifications and I also never see anything. So I tell people that, I'm like, look, this is the best place for our community. We love Facebook, we're familiar with it, we can share different types of content, it's free. But also, you're not gonna see these notifications. And so I say, sign up for our email digest, and I will send an email every 2 weeks. We're all still checking email, you know it. And I send this digest and I say, here are the quick things you need to know from the past 2 weeks in Impact Elite. And I do a 60-second video recap, so it's just a minute out of your day, and you can get caught up on 2 weeks worth of content. And then if there's something that catches your ear, catches your interest, scroll down in the email. There's links to quick polls you can answer, discussions that haven't been answered and maybe need a little love, or you can answer a question, and some suggestions of things that you can weigh in on. And it's just something we found is really helpful for people, because we're all busy and we don't have time to read every little thing, but you scroll through this email. I mean, if you're focused on, say, conversion rates, you could even Command F in the email, search for the word conversion, and be like, nothing this week, and move on. And I'm fine with that.
What kind of feedback have you gotten directly from your community members? And I would love to talk about the good and the bad, if you're up for it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll start with the good. I love that I've gotten replies directly to the email digest that I send out that say things like, this is so helpful, I love this short email, it's so easy to get into the discussions, or I love when people get excited, they're like, I went and answered one from the email. I'm like, great, that's awesome. So we've definitely gotten that kind of positive feedback, specifically from how we structured the notifications. I get a lot of in-person random stories about the community. Like, I asked this question and this person answered, and then we had a Zoom call and we actually met up for coffee when I was in that city. And I love hearing that. I want to get more of those stories shared in our community. And I love when I see like someone post a selfie with another community member they met up with. That's like my favorite. Negative feedback or constructive feedback potentially. Nothing really stands out as bad. I don't have any like community horror stories. Granted, you will get spam posts. You will get online harassment, and that is something you have to be prepared to deal with appropriately. Absolutely. We've definitely gotten some inappropriate things where we've had to close the comments, take it offline and have some discussions. Yeah. But for the most part, the feedback we get is like, hey, I really want to post jobs and you keep telling me not to post it in the jobs in the main feed. And I'm like, that's a great point. Let's make a place for that. Yeah. So anything constructive has really been pretty on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. I love the stories of community members, connecting, meeting up, becoming like, and in events like we're at here today, you end up seeing those people, and they're not only shaking hands, they're hugging, right? And it's like, it's such a human element of business that, again, many of us don't ever have a chance to make happen.
Justin Keller from Sigsters, I was like, God, I wish I could measure high fives and hugs.
I know.
I'm like, me too. Man, I'd be like top of my KPIs.
So let me ask you about as you look forward into the world of community building. Actually, before we go there, let's talk about outside of the digital realm. So again, many people thinking about community building, often it's an online community for their customers or whatever it happens to be, and that has a very important role to play. How do you think about community building outside of just the digital realm? And are there things that you're doing or you've seen out there that organizations are doing that, again, really elevate the level of connection and community building beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, there is just nothing that can replace an in-person conversation. There's something just truly special about a face-to-face in-person conversation. But there are things we can do that get very close to that. We did community hangouts, which was a digital thing where we got on Zoom with a group. We said, anyone who wants to hop in this Zoom, come in and chat with us. And that to me is the video calls with your community were the bridge to the in-person events, because we have our annual event, used to be called Impact Live. It's now Digital Sales and Marketing World. And like you said, seeing people come together and hug each other in the events that we have is so cool. Yeah. But they wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. They wouldn't even know each other's faces if we hadn't have had these video elements before. And even just things like making sure people in your community have a photo in their profile. It makes all the difference when you bridge over to these in-person events. How many times have you gone up to someone and been like, Tyler, is it? Hey, yeah, how's it going? Whereas I see Leah Hovland from our community, I'm like, Leah, and I run up to her, I know exactly who it is. One of my favorite examples is HubSpot's user groups. HubSpot has local user groups all around the country. There's like 175 different countries that have HubSpot user groups. I lead one in Chicago, and I love small local events, especially because you can learn from each other. We have online education, we have trainings, we have events like this, but there's just something about learning from other people who are doing what you're doing. And so I want to create more of those opportunities in our community. I want to do more local meetups with our community. And it's definitely a challenge, but Impact is about 2/3 remote, so hopefully we can make something happen there. But yeah, any time I can make it an opportunity for our community to come together in person, I'm going to try my hardest to make it happen.
That's great. And I've seen many organizations, including HubSpot, who have been successful in creating those in-market user groups and community meetups that often end up getting run by community members. Yeah. And so they don't even require your own company's physical presence. Right?
Yeah. We actually have a poll in our community when people join to tell us where they're from, and it's some of the top 20 cities that we know people are near, and we say just click the one you're closest to, and we're building that out so that when the time comes, we go, we have 45 people in Austin. We should do something in Austin. Yeah. And we know.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So let me ask you about as you look ahead in the world of communities, and I'm wondering is there anything you've been thinking about that you would just love to be able to do, either within your existing community, some kind of new program. We'll put technology and budget constraints aside. The laws of physics still have to hold true.
Oh, okay, so I can't like make things appear in
No. But is there, are there things that you think about that you would just like love the opportunity to do within a community program that you think would be just a really amazing way to take them to the next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I just need more time to dedicate to the community and someone to help me, and we're working on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some amazing things out there, but right now I even know there's small things that I haven't gotten around to doing that I want to do. For instance, our community has the ability to have social learning units, and you can have education in these units. People go through them kind of like a course. You can use them for introducing people to your community. Digital Marketer does a really amazing job of this in their community. I use them as my guiding light a lot of the time. So that's truly the thing I would like is just spend more time on our community.
Yeah.
But if I were to do something amazing, I want to get the members of our community on stage at an event talking to the rest of our community. I want everyone to be so excited for the person they see on stage because they know that they've had conversations with them in this community for a while. I saw how excited our community got when I was on stage, and that was cool, but I want them up there telling their stories.
Yeah, you can't beat that. I totally agree. And the opportunity for them to share those real...
They're real, yeah. They're not manufactured, ideally, someone comes in and says, well, we had this problem, I came and asked the community, I got all these answers, and then this is what I ended up doing. I want them to be how you can use a community if you're a marketer of one or a small team to get, whether it's support for something that you're trying to do or feedback on something you've already done, that community can be a big resource for people, and I want people to share that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. So a lot of good ideas here. A lot of, I think, amazing things that we could think about doing when it comes to putting a community program into practice. Can you just share, one or two of the big lessons learned that you would like to prepare anybody out there thinking about this? What do you wish you had known when you started it that you can pass on to our viewers and listeners?
I was telling you, I was teasing this a little bit before we started. I have like a PSA for community managers, which is just that, social media is social and it's fun and you get to talk in your community, but it's hard. Right. I mean, it's my personal Facebook that's tied to this community. So much so that if I continually approve posts in the community that then get flagged, Facebook can punish my personal profile for letting these negative posts into the community. And so I'm very responsible for it. And I get all the notifications. And so when I got married, I went on my honeymoon, and there's no way to turn off, I can't put an out of office on my Facebook.
Right.
I can't just suddenly turn off those notifications. I mean, you can turn off group notifications, but it doesn't really work. And even if I'm just relaxing, having a drink on the beach, I want to scroll through Facebook a little bit, there's my community. Yeah. And I feel compelled to answer these questions. And so it's very hard to unplug. And I think my absolute advice is set boundaries and know what they're going to be, find a way to make it work. People have asked why I don't have a second Facebook profile to manage the community, and it's twofold. One, Facebook doesn't like that, but two is that I want to be my authentic self. That's how I'm going to build trust. I want not necessarily Facebook friends with everyone in the community, but sure. I want it to be real. And if you are creating it on LinkedIn or even somewhere where you're getting those notifications, you have to find ways to mute it or uninstall it, but also to delegate it. And so while I can't put an out of office on Facebook, I can have someone from my team step in and say, hey, I'm Karina. I'm going to be Stephanie for the week while she's out. Direct all your questions to me with a video. She introduced herself with a video so they know her, they're comfortable. That once we figure that out, is the game changer for sure.
Awesome. So be committed, but not to the point where you have to be committed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Love it. Okay, so can you let people know where to find some of the great resources that you've put together around how to be a successful community manager?
Yeah, so join our community. It's Impact Elite on Facebook. great community. Answer the questions, say hello, and I will let you in, I promise, if you answer them well. And then a long URL that I'm sure Tyler can get to is impactbnd.com/online-community-management. And that is my massive 14,000 word ultimate guide to online community management.
Awesome. So we'll search for Impact Community Management.
Yeah, if you search online community management, it better come up.
Yes.
If not, I didn't do it right.
Yeah. There are so many benefits to developing a community of advocates and supporters in today's digital world. And it all starts with the belief that if you can help individuals and their businesses be more successful in what they do, they will not only become longtime customers when the time is right, but they will also become your most efficient source of marketing and sales through word of mouth and customer advocacy. But to build a community that's actively engaged and offers real value to its members, you need to go that extra mile in creating real human connections with your community members and fostering an environment where they can easily connect with others. And when you do it right, questions become answers, handshakes become hugs, and the success of individual members becomes more important than the community itself. Thanks for joining us on Creating Connections, brought to you by the fine folks here at Vidyard. If you enjoyed the show, give it a like or a share, hit that subscribe button for future episodes, and check out the podcast version now available on your favorite podcast platform.